Stronghold 3 should have been a true successor to the original Stronghold. Instead, it launched in a state that was honestly heartbreaking. Broken systems, constant micromanagement, and a game that felt unfinished in every direction. It nearly killed the series, and I've honestly never pre-ordered a game since. It devastated me on par with the final season of Game of Thrones. It was really that bad.
Best season ever! It's the best season ever.
But now, over a decade later, after years of patches and the free Gold Edition update, the question is simple. Is Stronghold 3 still a disaster, or is it actually worth revisiting in 2026? Let's find out. Stronghold 3, in my eyes, is the only game in the series that truly feels faithful to the original Stronghold. There's no skirmish mode, just peace and war campaigns, free build, historical sieges, and multiplayer. It's a deliberate stripping back of features, putting the focus squarely where it was in 2001, castle management and siege warfare. The war campaign takes place 10 years after the events of the first game, with the wolf coming back for revenge, somehow surviving falling from his keep with a sword through his guts in the first game. It's up there with Darth Maul's comeback in the Clone Wars for miraculous recoveries. Only the wolf doesn't have the force.
10 years later.
You may have forgotten me, but I will never forget you. You cannot imagine the depths I would go to stay alive, fueled by my singular hatred for you.
That may be so, but I defeated you before and I can defeat you again.
The campaign opens with the wolf conquering the kingdom, forcing you to flee alongside Lady Catherine and regroup with Sir Longarm. From there, you rebuild your strength, taking on the sons of the late rat and the pig, Swinefoot, Greytail, Scabcoat and Silverback, and take on a new character called the Jackal from the east. In the end, you finally confront the wolf himself, only for the story to take a dark and unexpected turn for the worst.
This time, I won.
It's easily the darkest narrative in the entire Stronghold series, and it carries on the bleak tone of the original game, far better than any other entry. The peace campaign in comparison is a much cheerier affair, and has you helping Lady Catherine to rebuild the abbey that was lost in the war campaign, and it feels much closer to Stronghold 1's simpler, more grounded peace campaign, rather than the more ambitious one we saw in Stronghold 2. The additional Blackstaff campaign, also added with the gold edition of the game, sees you playing as Thomas Blackstaff, as you help the player in the main campaign take out the 3 sons of the rat, who I mentioned previously, on Greystone Island. But it's not just the similarities in the story that make Stronghold 3 feel like a true successor to Stronghold 1, but the mechanics as well. Mercenaries are gone.
Over hill and deal!
Instead, you only have armed peasants, siege units and sappers available for gold, with engineers now automatically recruited from an engineer guild, to man oil smelters that made a return from the first game, and to man siege equipment. Almost every unit must be produced through a full weapon production chain, just like the original game. This brings Stronghold back to what makes it so special, managing your population to maximise resource output. We also get a brand new unit, the Ranger, an archer armed with a sword. It's the first new barracks unit in the series outside of peasants, and it's a generally fun addition.
Greetings from the Rangers!
The fear factor system also returns from Stronghold 1, while the crime system and event buildings from Stronghold 2 are removed. Scare your peasants and they will work harder, but be weaker in battle and dislike you, or make them happy and stronger in battle, but lose productivity. It's a system that feels far more impactful on gameplay, but does feel far less immersive than what we see in Stronghold 2. Stronghold 3 also visually represents events in-game. Royal visits see the king physically arrive, and illness causes peasants to cough and stagger around. It's a great touch and harkens back to the original game, where peasants would panic during sieges or fall ill from disease. Unfortunately, peasants running during sieges didn't return, for God knows what reason. Especially strange given the game's focus on invasion and siege scenarios.
You're not making any sense at all.
For me, the atmosphere is Stronghold 3's standout feature. It immediately sets it apart from most other Stronghold games, which aside from the original, tend to be much brighter and more vibrant, especially the Crusader titles. Stronghold 3 is dark and it perfectly fits the Wolf's revenge-driven story. Buildings have a gritty, lived-in feeling that makes castles feel grounded and believable. It's a refreshing change, and honestly the tone I think suits Stronghold best. Medieval life was grim, and siege warfare was brutal. This darker atmosphere pairs beautifully with Stronghold's cheerful and often ridiculous voice work from peasants and units.
I hate water!
That contrast is part of the series' charm. A good comparison here is Dungeon Keeper versus the Dungeon series. They play similar, but their tones give them completely different identities. Stronghold should do what Dungeon Keeper did and fully embrace what makes it unique. The music is also personally my favourite in the entire series. It includes tracks from Stronghold 1, 2 and Crusader, alongside fantastic new additions. Some lean heavily into Irish folk music and sound absolutely brilliant, feeling truly unique to Stronghold 3. Tracks like Hell's Gate on the main menu and Pressure Cooker during sieges perfectly set the tone, and my personal favourite is Tom of Bedlam, a full-on sing-along folk song, something you absolutely don't expect in a Stronghold game. Well, they all go bare and they live by the air, and they want no drink or money. Stronghold 3 introduced several ideas that we sadly haven't seen return. It featured a fully dynamic weather system that affected peasants' happiness, including rain, thunderstorms and sunny days. While Crusader 2 and Warlords include storms in certain missions, Stronghold 3 is the only game in the series with dynamic weather throughout. The wall system is also completely unique, using a pillar-to-pillar design instead of a click and drag or block placement. Buildings can be fully rotated, letting you design castles exactly how you want, especially useful in tight layouts. House placement also matters in Stronghold 3. The closer a house is to the keep, the more peasants it can support. This forces the player to think more carefully about castle layout, and ensure there is enough space for a growing population. It's an interesting idea on paper, but in practice I often find it leads to frustration, rather than adding anything meaningful to the gameplay.
Can't place that there, my lord.
The game also introduces day and night cycles, with night introducing a fog of war. Enemy units can't be seen unless they pass near beacons, braziers, burning logs, or are revealed using a hay bale launcher. It adds a whole new layer to siege warfare and allows for genuine surprise attacks, a refreshing change from always seeing your enemy's every move. Stronghold 3 clearly tries to strike a balance between Stronghold 1 and Stronghold 2 when it comes to castle management. The honour system returns, allowing you to host grand banquets by gathering vegetables, venison and honey, and producing cloves and wine. However, it's significantly streamlined. Feasts don't need to be visually prepared, and there is no dancers or keep animations. You simply click to host one when you have the resources. Gong and rats are also gone, leaving the staples of the first game, religion and ale. Candles for churches return from Stronghold 2, adding a small extra layer without overwhelming the player. Overall, it does a decent job of sitting between both games. If you found Stronghold 2 too complex or frustrating, Stronghold 3 might actually be the sweet spot. Deeper than Stronghold 1, but far less demanding than Stronghold 2.
I would stay inside and hide just now, sire.
If you're looking for a more relaxed castle sim, Stronghold 3 really leans into that experience. Combat is slow-paced, with missions focused on carefully managing sieges or defending your castle for a set period of time. It focuses on these mission scenarios rather than the fast-paced skirmish gameplay found in most later entries. You're not constantly sallying forth to destroy enemy lords. Most of the time it's just you, your castle, defending your land and completing objectives. Peasants also spawn very slowly compared to other Stronghold games, sometimes leading to frustration when trying to rebuild after a fight.
How long is this going to take?
But also making gameplay feel more focused and relaxed than other entries. It's a refreshing change of pace, especially since most Stronghold games chase the Crusader formula. Stronghold 3 instead prioritises castle management and lord defence, making it feel closer to a dungeon-style experience than a traditional RDS.
Hell, it's about time.
While Stronghold 3 still feels unfinished in places, largely due to Firefly being forced to release it too early, it offers genuinely interesting ideas that make it worth revisiting in 2026. I'd love to see systems like dynamic weather, day-night cycles and fully rotating buildings return in future Stronghold games. Overall, it's a fun Stronghold entry if you're after a slower, more relaxed experience. And honestly, it's worth picking up in a Steam sale for the music alone. So what do you think about Stronghold 3? Is it still unplayable to you? Or do you appreciate what it tried to do? Would you like to see features revisited? Let me know in the comments, don't forget to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.